after them, cousin! I'm with you, cousin!
Go forward! Stay on course! All right!
In the summer of 1993, Super Mario Bros. Bombed at the box office, receiving a lot of negative reviews from critics and unsavory feedback from fans. However, over the years the movie has gained a cult following due to its well-known and infamous production between screenwriters, actors, directors and the corporate overlords up above. Super Mario Bros. Was the first ever video game film adaptation, and for a long time it would be the only time Mario was given the cinematic treatment. However, fairly recently there's been a surge of modern video game adaptations such as Detective Pikachu and the Sonic movies, just to name a few. And most recently, 30 years after the release of the original live-action disaster, Super Mario has finally been granted a resurrection on the big screen, this time being worked on by a collaborative effort between Nintendo and Illumination. The film went on to blow up at the box office, but in a complete opposite way to the original, becoming the highest grossing video game movie and highest grossing animated movie of all time. To say the new movie was a commercial and financial success would be an understatement. I myself saw the film and enjoyed it for the most part. The visuals are absolutely spectacular, and Jack Black's Bowser is definitely the highlight of the entire film, but I would be lying if I said I thought this film was really anything that special. I found the recent Super Mario Bros. Movie to be perfectly fine, the perfect family film, perfectly generic and perfectly safe, which shouldn't come as much a surprise given the companies behind its creation, which is fine I suppose, but I know animated family films can be a lot better than this. I'll just say this now before continuing any further. I am a Mario fan. I absolutely love pretty much all of the games and I stay up to date with the series to this day, but the movie for me personally didn't feel like Mario. I really think it was down to the casting of Chris Pratt and the choice to have Luigi barely in the film itself, and about 40% of the movie is devoted to Seth Rogen's attempt at vaguely resembling Donkey Kong. This movie really struggled to have me invested even nostalgically because it just didn't feel like Mario at all. It has the visual style and a couple of Easter eggs, and that's really just about it. So how on earth can I say the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie is better than the recent one, which is the most extreme example of taking creative liberties ever? Well, what can I say? It's definitely, and I admit now, a mix of nostalgia. I've been watching this film before my age was in the double digits, and this movie is just so infectiously wonderful to me, with its absurd yet visually appealing world, the extremely quotable and darkly humorous quotes, and the music that sticks with you forever, and of course the fascinating history surrounding the movie itself. In my honest opinion, this movie is just far more interesting than the recent one, mainly because this feels like a real movie rather than a corporate clip show that doubles as a commercial. For all its faults, the 1993 movie at least made an attempt to tell an interesting story with real themes of evolution and, strangely enough, American politics. This movie actually tries to give us strong and relatable iterations of Mario and Luigi and other characters from the games, and the film gives us this highly detailed spectacle of this parallel dimension, which was all done for real. The sets were all real, and the creatures like Yoshi and the Goombas were all done with practical effects and puppetry and animatronic works, and at certain instances the film employs, for at the time, impressive digital effects. This movie was very imaginative, and that still shines through even under the production how it took to make it. As I said in the beginning of this video, the recent Mario movie just doesn't feel like a Mario movie. A vast portion of the narrative has Mario separated from Luigi. A good chunk of the film is spent with Donkey Kong, and Peach isn't even kidnapped by Bowser until the final act. That's all fine really, you can change things up, but why bother call it the Super Mario Bros. Movie if you're not even gonna have Mario and Luigi together throughout it? The 1993 movie far more closely follows the traditional Mario story, surprisingly. Mario and Luigi rescue a kidnapped princess from a reptilian king set in the Mushroom Kingdom. Yeah, this just feels more like Mario. Speaking of the Mario brothers, Bob Hoskins is incredible in the role of Mario. I'm aware he hated the role, for good reason given the hellish nightmare the production was, but he still gives it his all. Mario really does feel like some good-hearted ordinary plumber living in Brooklyn, and he is by far my favourite iteration of the character. John Leguizamo's take on Luigi is also great. I think he works well to contrast with Mario. Luigi is driven to the unordinary and he's also very impressionable, while Mario is the down-to-earth family type, trying to earn a living. If there's one thing this movie definitely gets far better than the new one, then it's demonstrating Mario and Luigi's brotherly bond, because it really shines through here all throughout. This movie also does a great job at showcasing the Mario brothers' plumbing profession, which actually plays a key factor in the movie throughout, surprisingly as well.
Treat your tools like a friend. Keep them by you. Never let them down. And they're always at your side.
Hey, Mario, how come it is that for every situation that could possibly come up, you always gotta say about tools, huh?
I got them from Pop. He got them from Grandpa. We'll freeze them. Keep them busy while we make our way up.
I also think this movie's depiction of Princess Peach, or Toadstool, or Daisy, played by Samantha Mathis, works really well. Now, I actually think the movie may have mistaken Daisy from Super Mario Land as the first name of Princess Toadstool, because for a while Peach was only known as Princess Toadstool in America. It's kind of like the Eggman Robotnik situation. I think the decision to have Daisy also be ordinary like Mario and Luigi was actually a good one as well, since it helps us be more attached to Daisy's perspective. Dennis Hopper's Koopa is so charismatically evil, to the point he almost feels like Dr. Evil.
See you later, alligator. Let this be a reminder to you all that this organization will not tolerate failure.
It's definitely not a character with all too much depth, but he plays it really well. King Koopa is at the epicenter of the absurd world of this film. Also, I'll just say this now, I love the visual nods to the games, and I think characters like Yoshi and Toad were well implemented into the narrative and the world that was built up in this movie. Inspired by Dinosaur Land from Super Mario World and the dinosaur craze of the 90s, this film reimagines Mario's Mushroom Kingdom as a parallel dimension where dinosaurs evolved into humanoid-like beings, and they have completely ran their world into the ground, draining all of their resources. Nearly everyone is overly aggressive and cynical, there's no voting system.
Hey guys, what is all this Koopa the blank stuff? Everywhere we look, you got Koopa the sportsman, Koopa environmentalist, Koopa the somebody else went against this guy?
Koopa the Sensitive ran 4 years ago, but he only got 2%.
No, I'm talking about somebody else other than Koopa.
No, Koopa doesn't like that.
What you mean you can vote for anybody as long as it's Koopa?
What kind of system's that?
Democracy.
The city is called Dino Hatton, and it's covered in fungus, and it's all overgrown with germs and pollution. And a core point of the story is the de-evolution technology, which regresses a race intellectually and biologically. And look at Koopa.
Do anything for publicity.
Yeah, this movie has entirely by accident predicted the future. You can make the argument this doesn't belong in Mario, but guess what? Everybody loves Sonic Sat for its dark, gritty, political and dystopian reimagining of Sonic, and they both even came out in 1993, wow. So no, I don't really care if it's inaccurate as long as the story is interesting and executed well. And I prefer this movie over the new one precisely for that reason. The new one lacked any substance. Sure, that isn't a sin by any means, and people can love it all they want. I mean, I still enjoyed it a lot. But at the end of the day, it's just eye candy. There's no real attempt at world building, and for me, there's nothing to latch on to except the visual nods and Easter eggs. By the way, I want to say now, I don't think the 1993 film is perfect either. There's a lot of plot holes you can find if you think too much.
Hit the brakes! There are no brakes! Brace yourself! There are no brakes!
That isn't really the point of my argument though. If you really want to completely dismiss the movie for its plot holes, then a majority of Marvel's film catalogue has to be dismissed as well. Honestly, to me, the 1993 movie is better than a majority of these sort of eye candy fluff films, because at the end of the day, the 1993 film had a tiny glimmer of a real story to be told, and it was crafted with real care and detail, because just look at the set design and just how crazy and all out this film went, and how sincere some of the actors go with it, even through the nightmare that was the production. I also find how the movie was corporately meddled with to be more kid friendly by Nintendo and Disney themselves, no less. I find that to be absolutely hilariously meta, along with the political undertones of the movies that have definitely aged, Well, this movie basically becomes far more relevant and interesting every year because it's kind of a microcosm of how films have gone from well-crafted stories into this. If you're interested in learning more about this movie, I highly recommend checking out the Super Mario Bros. Archive website. They pretty much have nearly everything involving the history of this movie. In fact, they even have a cut of the movie you can watch for free, which re-implements multiple deleted scenes, adding about 30 minutes to the overall runtime. And a lot more, like interviews and drafts of the old scripts. That's the kind of dedication I can admire. Also, Iggy and Spike are the best characters in the movie.
I'm Spike.
I'm Spike.
He's Iggy.
I'm Spike.
I'm Iggy.
I'm
He's
Spike.
Spike.
You realize what our society has become?
You ever get the feeling you're on automatic pilot? You're going through the motions like waves in the ocean?
That life is a series of brainless notions, and you want to feel something more than empty emotions.
When we met two plumbers
Who had an idea?
they showed us the light.
And the new frontier.
Mario
and Luigi.
They know what's right.
We gotta take a stand and put up a fight.
Well, stop and
think
think
this
this through.
through.
It's time to get rid of
you know who? A radical development is taking place.
Iggy
and Spike will set the pace. Koopa. The party pooper. The pooper scooper.
It's a crying shame. We're playing his game.
He's got us so tame, it really is
lame.
lame.
We're all so dumb being under his thumb.
Be proud reptilians, we number in the millions.
Look at these Goombas.
Shutting us down.
The rule of force
is the rule of this clown.
Koopa.
The party pooper.
Wake up, people! Wake up!